After the Minnesota Vikings' historic win against the Colts, time to move on to Christmas Eve matchup against the 8-5-1 New York Giants. We'll talk about that game right after this. After what was a very exciting and emotional win last Saturday, Minnesota Vikings needed to do a better job at moving on from it than they did the last time they had a game like that against Buffalo. Obviously, last time we came out flat against another NFC East team in the Dallas Cowboys. This week, again, coming off a big, high emotional win, we need to take care of the Giants. I think this time Kevin O'Connell learned after the last game that you can never take it easy on a team, and you can never just kind of have that letdown feeling once you have a big game like they had. I think he's going to have much more ready to play this time around. And plus, you got a tough matchup here. The Giants, they're everybody kind of like the Vikings. They came into this season like, okay, new coach. What are they really going to do? And Brian Daboll, I know me and you both really liked him. When the Vikings are looking at their next head coach, he's done a fantastic job because of the market. He's probably going to be one of the front runners for Coach of the Year, especially if the Giants make the playoffs for sure. But yeah, the Giants are a team that like you look at, and there's not a lot on that team that scares you, yet they're finding ways to win football games. And that's kind of, at the end of the day, that's kind of what it is. Obviously huge bounce back season from Saquon Barkley this year.
Right.
Daniel Jones is playing just good enough to keep them afloat. Defensively, they're solid. They have some pieces, nothing crazy, but yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup. One of those games looking at this year, we're like, it's not going to be that bad. But now it's going to be a big one.
I mean, they definitely have lost a little bit momentum since earlier on in the year when it was kind of like, well, what us, them, Philly, Bills, and then probably Dallas. There's like one time, and then KC, where I think the Giants only had like one loss or something like with us. I don't know, something like that. So they've kind of haven't been playing as good as late. They did have a really good win against Washington last week. But I mean, again, I think, their defense just isn't too scary for me. And we're going to dive into this a little bit more, but according to PFF, they have the worst coverage game in the entire NFL. And I think, with the talent we have on wide receiver or at the wide receiver position, especially if KJ Osborne can continue playing like he did last game, hopefully that would be huge if he can. But then how Kirk Cousins has been playing. And I just think our offense for sure matches well against their defense. In my opinion, obviously, who knows about our defense, and, at the end of the day, we're just this team that it doesn't really matter. We'll allow teams to score points, but then we'll also be that team that will come back and win anyway. So, it's kind of who knows how this game's going to roll out. But
right, for sure. But anyway, so that's kind of our in general thoughts here. We got a few key matchups we want to look at. So let's take time, dive into some of those, and we'll see what we're thinking for a score when it's all said and done here.
Yes. But before we do that, another week, another Justin Jefferson rookie card. We run this through our Instagram. So go into our description, look up our username there, check out the rules for that on there. But it all starts first with subscribing to our channel. We give this away when we go live stream after the game. This week, I don't know how we're going to do it with Christmas and everything. We either could possibly do it right after the game, or we might wait till Monday. So we'll have to figure that out. But we give this away on our live stream. And last week, we gave another card to a giveaway to someone that was on the live stream. So join us on our live stream after the game, and you might even have a chance to win again there. So, yeah, let's jump into.
All right. I know you mentioned their coverage grade, and I was looking throughout their two starting corners. Neither of them have interceptions. They're only from their starters, especially in that their defensive backs. To the two safeties, Julian Love and Dane Belton, are the only two of the starters back there that have interceptions. Mm-hmm. So obviously, as you said, one of the worst coverage grades you can throw against them, which helps us because we have the best wide receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson.
And I would say this is a lot more. This is like, I would say the receiver. Yeah, you got to put Justin Jefferson, but like I said, Adam Thielen stepped up towards the end of the last game. You still have Hawkinson, and obviously KJ Osborne. So I mean, they have a terrible coverage game, the worst in the NFL. So it's just our pass catchers in general should be able to feast.
For sure. And obviously, Justin Jefferson's coming off 123-yard performance. KJ, as you mentioned, 157. I think Thielen had was it 4 or 5 for 60 some yards, a big first down, a big touchdown. TJ Hawkinson with the 2-point conversion. Delvin Cook with the 64-yard screen. So yeah, I mean, Terry McLaurin didn't do like fantastic last week, but he was able to dice up that defense for a little bit of yardage. So thinking what our wide receiver core can do, I'm pretty excited to see this. I'm pretty excited for this matchup. Obviously, Justin Jefferson has proven to be matchup proof. I'll see if Brian Daboll wants to coach his defenders to just keep smacking around Jefferson like every other receiver, like every other coach in the league has been doing up to this point. But
can't hurt it, dude. That's messed up. That would be killer. If JJ goes down, I just don't even know. Don't know what to think.
Yeah, we had to hold our breath last game when he took a couple of those hits.
I know.
Obviously,
like he takes these hits, man. He takes these hits and he seems to be all right, but you're just waiting, especially this year with all these concussions and the new rules and stuff that they're implementing, which makes sense for sure. But if we lose him, that will not be good. And on top of that, like that's a hard thing. Is now another thing I'm interested in is to see how our team plays, knowing that we already clinch our division and we're already making playoffs for sure. I am interested. I'm hoping that we come out and still play like we want that number 2 seed. But it'll be interesting to see what we do with Justin Jefferson going forward, especially like in the last game and stuff. Like, are we going to arrest him? Because he is on his way to breaking Kelvin Johnson's receiving record. And I think he's like 7 yards, projected 7 yards over his record, and also over 2,000 yards. So it would be super cool to see that. But at the same time, like, man, if people are coming after JJ like this, if we don't have him in playoffs, that would be pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where if he goes down, Vikings would take a pretty nasty fall in power rankings and just kind of in national perspective, because people are kind of, saying he should be included in the MVP conversation. So,
which he should. I mean, if he beats the receiving record, and I mean, look at Cooper Kupp last year. I think Cooper Kupp ended up winning Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
I believe, and JJ's on pace to beat him. He should over or get more yards than Cooper Kupp did last year. So I mean, it only makes sense that he should be even a bigger candidate for that than Cooper Kupp was last year.
Yeah. But a big thing about the receivers catching passes is Kirk Cousins needs to keep playing like he has these last couple weeks. Been absolutely on fire, 2 straight 400-yard games. So as long as he has time, I mean, I know they got a couple guys in that defense. Kayvon Thibodeau's had a pretty big season so far. They got Leonard Williams there as well. So Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously the rookie out of Oregon, was number 5 overall pick, I believe.
Something like that.
He's having a solid rookie season. I think he has 3 sacks. So
I think 2 of them came last week.
They might have, yeah.
I think so.
But if we can keep Kirk upright, these receivers could feast. Moving on. So let's flip the script to the other side of the ball here. As we kind of mentioned in the precursor, the biggest thing with this offense is Saquon Barkley. Got to stop Saquon. If you can stop Saquon Barkley and make Daniel Jones have to throw the ball, you can make them one-dimensional and you can get to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, I think he's one of those guys. Like I said, he is just good enough for them. Like, he's by all accounts, he's having a really solid season so far this year, but he's not like elite level quarterback or anything. So he's one of those guys. If you can get some pressure on him, you can force him into making some mistakes.
Right.
His receiver core is completely banged up at this point. Who are their starting receivers right now?
Slayton's been stepping up. Richie James. I don't even know. What's it? Shepard. He must be injured.
Shepard's out. Yeah. They have Kenny Galladay. He plays for them, but I don't think he actually plays for them.
I don't know what happened to Kenny Galladay.
Well, after the Lions, he took a giant. I mean, even that last season with the Lions where he kept getting hurt, then going on to New York, he's took a huge drop off. But so obviously, they have some talent there, but it's nothing really spectacular. So it really all comes down to stopping Saquon Barkley, man. And Saquon Barkley has been obviously, as we probably I mean, can you really consider him? Was he hurt? He was hurt last year, right?
Probably
not very good.
I don't know. He has, ever since his rookie year, he had that one big injury. I think earlier
ACL
sophomore year, he has not been the same player. Because when he came into the NFL, his rookie year was one of the best I've ever seen. Like from a talent perspective, like watching Saquon Barkley is insane. And then he just kind of went away. And this year was a huge bounce back, especially earlier in the season. But yeah, I mean, he's nothing to mess with. And
Right. And I think that's
the
like the reason that he's kind of slowed down, I think, too, is because people know like if you stop him, you can stop that Giants offense, especially with all the injuries. Because
right,
as right now,
right,
269
especially
carries,
right now.
1,170 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4.35 yards per carry. Yeah. And he's that same guy that we saw in that rookie season. I know there's a lot of talk about what do they do? Do they bring him back? Do they let him go? They didn't pick up his I don't think they picked up his option, or did they pick up his option?
Not sure.
2018, so 18, 19, 20, 21. So yeah, this is his 5th-year option, but they haven't given them the extension yet. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they decide to take with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, yeah. At this point, I think you got to keep him just because it depends on how much it'll cost. But he is like that team runs through him, and you got a lot more to do on that offense to become competitive. I can't, Daniel Jones has stepped up this year, but do I think that if another quarterback's there for them, even though they have a pretty decent record this year, I could see them taking a chance on somebody else at this point. And they definitely need wide receiver help. There's no question there. But for this game, their run offense is their best grade all around from according to PFF, which is an 81. So that just shows how good the run game is, but not just from Saquon, because you're talking about Daniel Jones. And yeah, I mean, he's someone that's not super great with his arm, I'd say. He doesn't get tons of yards. He has stepped it up this year, but in the run game, Daniel Jones is another quarterback you have to worry about, kind of like a Josh Allen. Where he takes off and runs for, like, what did he have last year or last week for rushing? 35 yards, 10 carries, which he'll do even better than that. So, I mean, a Vikings team that we've been struggling this year against these rushing quarterbacks, I think
I wouldn't necessarily label Daniel Jones as a running quarterback, though.
I would to
He
some
would be a
extent.
quarterback who can run. He's not a guy that relies on his legs often.
No, I would almost argue that because he has 10 carries for 35 yards. Yeah, the yards isn't huge, but he has 160 yards throwing last game. Like how many yards rushing does he have right now? Because I would say I wouldn't say he's someone that relies on his running, but would you consider Josh Allen a running quarterback?
Yes.
But I would put him in that same category. I bet you that Josh Allen doesn't have that many more yards than him rushing. Let's see. I'm gonna look it up.
That's debatable. That's
We'll find
debatable.
out. We'll find out. We'll find out right now. He rushes a lot. He does.
I mean,
Maybe
he's
I could
not
be wrong.
bad at it.
But he's not. He's like you. I think you got to worry about him in the rush game. All right. Let's see here. Of course, it's gonna be a pain. All right, right there. So he has 583 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns this year. 5.6 average. 105 rushing attempts. 583 yards. That's a rushing quarterback right there.
I don't know, man.
Let's see Josh Allen. We gotta figure this out right now. So Josh Allen. Let's see here. So Josh Allen has. Damn, you're not gonna give me. Where is it? It's, of course, going to be a pain in the ass finding. Oh, okay. So he has 705 yards. So he does run more, a little bit about the same attempts, but Josh Allen has 705 yards. Daniel Jones has 583 yards. I don't know. I would still consider that a rushing quarterback, though.
I don't know. It is what it is. But mainly, stop Saquon Barkley, stop the New York Giants offense,
and stop Daniel Jones running too.
Yeah. Moving on to our final matchup, we want to highlight here.
583 yards. That's half a thousand. Kirk Cousins probably has less than 100. All right, maybe a little bit more. He had a couple good runs this year.
Yeah. But anyway, final matchup to watch here is Dalvin Cook against that New York Giants rushing front. Obviously, Dalvin Cook coming off 94 rushing yards and 70 some receiving yards, I believe. Obviously, the big 64 yard screen pass he took to the house, which was, a successful screen. I noticed on that screen, Kirk Cousins actually got the ball out of his hands a lot quicker than he normally does. He didn't have to take the full set.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because he was throwing ahead of him instead of, behind the line of scrimmage, which could have had something to do with it. But yeah, Delvin, every time we talk about Dalvin Cook, I say my feelings on Delvin are very mixed,
Yeah.
but he's a great leader. He still has some juice, and as we saw
Yeah, he
last week,
does.
he still has some shiftiness.
Yeah, Delvin Cook, another season, over 1,000 yards rushing. He is that guy that will just, I think the thing with him this year is he just gets blown up in the backfield a lot, which I don't know if that's all his fault. It could be to some point, but it's definitely not all his fault. And that's what we kind of see with him. It just seems like he either gets blown up or like at the line of scrimmage, but he's a guy who can just break one out at any moment. And we've seen it in big parts of the game so far. And the Giants have, I think, like the fifth worst rushing defense in the NFL. And I already said that their pass defense is number one, but they have a 46.3 passing defense according to PFF grade and a 46.4 for their rush grade. So really, I mean, but they're like the 14th in scoring defense, so they don't allow a lot of points. Maybe they're better in the red zone. But based on like just their grade on passing and running, like you'd think we'd be able to just destroy them on offense.
Well, I mean, maybe they could be very much like we are, that bend but don't break type of mentality when you get down into
Right.
the red zone. So
Right. So
very
that'll be
well.
interesting. I'm hoping I have Delvin Cook in my fantasy this week. So obviously it's playoffs, second week of playoffs. So I need him to step up big. And I think this is a game that I think he should. I think our offense, if our game plan is going good, it should be a really good game for us. Of course, we're a weird team, and we might not want to unless Giants are scoring on us. We might just not score a lot early, but we'll see. Hopefully this is a game where we come in and just fire on all cylinders for an entire
Yeah,
game. But
that would definitely be
we say that every single
ideal.
week.
Yeah. So this week, I don't know, this is one of those games that still feels like we could come and blow them out. I was
Yeah, I
almost thinking
know.
about predicting another
Yeah.
blowout score, but man,
It's so hard. It's impossible. Like, yeah, it's a loser's game at this point. Every
it
single
is.
time. It's just every single time it has to come close to like ridiculous extent.
There is one more key matchup that I want to point out. It's going to be the Giants versus a
Ooh,
whited out US Bank Stadium. I'm really
dude,
excited to see this whole deal.
that's so sick.
I really go away, ad. I really wish that they could have gotten white helmets. I
I
saw someone on Twitter
know.
being like, "You fans people don't get it. You have to the year before you have to decide helmets. Who cares? I don't care. That's not the point. The point is a white helmet would be cool. Don't
Dude,
come
the
at me
white
with your
helmet would be
facts,
so
okay?
fucking sick.
But either way, though, it's like the stadium's gonna be rocking. Hopefully, everybody actually listens and wears white. Man,
That's gonna be sick. I know. I hope
they got
so.
the end zones whited out. They got the white logo in the center of the field.
Dude, it's gonna be sweet. And this is hopefully, with the way with how swaggy Kirk's been this year, you'd think it will just bring up his morale a little bit. And he's gonna come out swinging right off the way. Hopefully, he did get his grills. Maybe he wears them into there, a couple chains. Whatever Kirko's got to do, and hopefully he puts on a show. And hopefully it'd be cool to come back from that last game and just ride that momentum. Like that comeback is insane, man. I mean, that could be like a different mentality type of victory. So hopefully we come into this game and we see kind of a different team early. We don't allow them to score points and us having to come back in this game, or us just, I don't know, not scoring in the second and third quarters and stuff. Hopefully we just see an overall good game. And
Yeah,
like you said, this seems like a team that we match up well with in that area. Obviously, this has been a tough team. There's no question about it. We've played a lot easier teams, even if like based on talent. That's the thing with the ball rate this year. That's why he was a strong candidate for coach of the year earlier on. There's no way it shouldn't be KOC this year. I don't care who's sleeping. It should definitely be KOC, a rookie coming in, or first year head coach, rookie, whatever, basically the same thing coming in. But the ball, man, he there's no question with him that his success with the lack of talent has been extremely impressive. So we can't sleep on this team at all. And we can't sleep on any team in the NFL, but no team in the NFL can sleep on us either. And at the end of the day, we win more than we lose. So
yeah,
hopefully that's how we keep rolling.
for sure. What do you think then? What's your score prediction for this one?
Score prediction. I'm going to start with the player prediction. I'm actually against Kirk this week. So I was gonna go Kirk, but I could see the run game being huge in this game, but for some reason, I do think it's going to be the passes. So I'm gonna say 3 touchdowns. No, I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say 2 touchdowns, Justin Jefferson, touchdown KJ, touchdown Thielen, and a touchdown Hawkinson. 5 touchdowns, Kirk Cousins, 5 touchdowns to those 5 players, except for 2
Wow.
goes to JJ. I'm reaching for the stars. It's gonna be high scoring.
So what is the score?
Oh, and the scoring, man, I said high scoring. So 5 times 7, depending if Greg Joseph hits all his extra points.
Well, he's been money.
So 30, that'd be what? So we'll say 35. That means Delvin isn't gonna I'm taking that back. I'm gonna take 1 touchdown back from Thielen. Thielen or Hawkinson, give 1 to Delvin Cook. I'm gonna say 35-28.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I'm gonna have to go defense, considering that you just took every single offensive player in yours. So let's give Harrison Smith another interception, and maybe he returns it for a touchdown. Who knows? But I also do think Kirk's gonna just keep balling. I think this is gonna be like a 27-21 type of win for the Minnesota Vikings. Move up to 12-3, which is only 1 win away from my prediction before the season started of this record. And people laughed at me. People called me crazy for 13-4, but 13-4 is looking like a pretty legit possibility. Yeah. We want to know if you guys think the Vikings get to 12 wins. Let us know down in the comment section, and we'll see you guys whenever we break down this game.
Skol Vikes.